Hello, I am John Bennett, one of the elders at Cypress Bible Church. I'd like to take a look at the very familiar Psalm 46 today. A simple outline of the psalm is that it starts with a promise of God's protection. That is followed by a description of chaos in nature, followed by the peace and stillness when God intervenes. A refrain appears in verse 7. We next read a description of chaos among nations, followed by peace and stillness, and in this case, worship when God intervenes. Verse 11 repeats the refrain. Verse 1 is familiar. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Taken in the context of the following verses describing chaos and trouble in nature and world events, the promise in verse 1 is comforting and appropriate to us today. First, we are promised that God is our refuge, a safe place. Then we are promised that God is our strength, a strong place. Then we are promised that God is a very present help in trouble. I find this wording reassuring. He is a help to us in trouble. As we seek Him, He will care for us. He will give us wisdom. He will provide needed resources. He will give us peace. But God is not only a help in trouble, He's a present help. He is here now and at all times. He promises that not only is He present, He's very present. He's all here. Because God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, we can rejoice that He is indeed a very present help in trouble. Verses 7 and 11 are identical, a refrain that states, "The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." Part of the reason for the repetition is that the sons of Korah wrote this song to be sung in worship. But I believe God also inspired the repetition to emphasize the importance of the truth contained in these words. The statement that God is with us connects us to the phrase, "a very present help," in verse 1. The promise that God is our fortress connects us to the promise that God is our refuge and strength, also found in verse 1. Note the wording that the God of Jacob is used to describe God as a fortress. Why is this important? Let's consider the Jews living when this worship song was introduced. The reference to the God of Jacob being a protector would have been immediately clear to them. God personally appeared to Jacob at several very critical points. The first of these is in Genesis 28. Isaac has sent Jacob away from his home to his uncle Laban's house to get married. On Jacob's journey, one night he lays down alone, and God appears to him in a dream. In verse 15, God promises Jacob, "Behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go. I will not leave you." Many years later, as Jacob is returning to Canaan, he is told his brother Esau is coming toward him with a 400-person army. Despite God's blessing during Jacob's time with Laban, including 2 wives, 11 sons at this time, and much livestock, Jacob is very fearful. That night, God again appears personally to Jacob and blesses Jacob, as recorded in Genesis 32, verses 22 through 31. The assertion that the God of Jacob is their fortress, their protection, their refuge and strength, would have been a very powerful reminder of God's ability to protect and care for the first hearers of this psalm. Likewise, it should be a reminder to us as well. Our neighbors in Louisiana recently experienced Hurricane Laura. Many of us were significantly impacted by Hurricane Harvey. We can appreciate the chaos of nature. We need no reminder in 2020 of the chaos in nations between the health and economic impacts of the coronavirus and the social unrest our country has experienced the past 4 months. Daily we are reminded of the trouble around us. We seek a safe place. We seek a strong place. Let us turn to the God of Jacob, who is our fortress, our protection, and a very present help in the time of trouble.